My brother tells me that nobody wants me in the house, and my parents agree. But the morning after I leave, they're blowing up my phone because, surprise, nobody wants my brother in jail either. Are there more people out there with golden child sibling problems? With parents who clearly favor one kid over the other? I'd like to know so I don't feel alone, because it's always been this way with my family. It wasn't always like this, but over time, the dynamic became crystal clear. I was the second-class son, and my brother was the golden boy. It started small, with little things. My parents forgetting to save me a plate at dinner. My brother taking my stuff without asking, knowing nobody would care when I complained. They never outright said they didn't want me, not at first. But they didn't have to. I could feel it, and that was enough. I could feel it in the way they talked around me, the way my existence annoyed them, or their plain indifference. I tried to brush it off. Families aren't perfect, right? Maybe I was just being sensitive. But this wasn't a case of sensitivity. This was my parents genuinely caring more about a fly than me. I was good in school, stayed out of trouble, and wasn't perfect, but I think I was a good son to them. At least a better son than they deserved. My brother could do whatever he wanted. Talk back, skip chores, fail classes, it didn't matter. My parents always had excuses for him. He can't do his homework today because something he ate this morning upset his stomach, when he'd had ice cream for breakfast because he didn't want anything else. I'd point these things out, because it was a pattern a primate scientist would admire. On the one hand, my parents let him do whatever he wanted and then proceeded to enable him because the consequences are what got him there in the first place. And then, one day, the resentment boiled over. Not mine, theirs. It was a Saturday night. I'd just gotten home from work, nothing special, just my part-time gig at a local store. Working weekends to save up some cash, since my parents never gave me much. My brother, on the other hand, didn't have to lift a finger. Anything he wanted, he got. And I don't mean the money to buy it, I mean the item itself. They literally went to get him whatever he asked for. He didn't have to move his big butt off the couch. I walked in, exhausted, and the first thing I saw was him sprawled on the couch, controller in hand, glued to his video game. This was his spot in the world and his throne from which he bossed our parents around. A half-eaten plate of food sat on the table, and on the floor, my backpack lay open, notebooks and papers scattered across the carpet. What the hell? I said, bending down to pick up my stuff. Oh yeah, needed some paper. Took some, he said, eyes still on the screen. I checked my notebook, saw the mess he'd made. My school notes, the ones I'd spent hours on, were gone, ripped out by his food-covered hands. Seriously? I yelled back. He finally looked at me. Chill out, it's just some dumb notes. Not like you're doing anything important anyway. That stung more than it should have. Maybe because, deep down, I knew that's how they really saw me. How everyone in this family saw me. Where are they? I asked, my patience already wearing thin. He chuckled. Dunno, probably the trash. I was used to this kind of thing. It was common practice from my brother and my parents. But something about that day, my job, the way I felt, or how tired I was, made it different. I walked past him to the kitchen to see what I could recover from my notes and muttered something like, I don't know whether to look for it in the kitchen trash or here. That's when my parents walked in and that's when things really went downhill. Mom and Dad strolled in, laughing about something. Some private joke between them. No idea what it was about. But the moment they saw me standing there, the mood shifted. What's with the attitude? My dad asked. I showed him my ripped notebook. Ask him, I said, pointing to my brother. He ripped out my notes and threw them away like they were nothing. My mom barely glanced at him. It's just paper, she said, waving her hand dismissively. I stared at them, waiting for something like, that wasn't right, or, don't do that again. But nothing. Instead, my brother was already smirking. Yeah, it's just paper, he echoed, like he knew he'd already won. I turned to head upstairs, but my dad's voice stopped me. You know, this attitude is exactly why nobody wants to be around you. What? I asked, turning slowly. My mom sighed, like she was already tired of me. You're overreacting. You always play the victim, always causing problems. Causing problems? I said, my voice dripping with irony. For what? For expecting basic respect? For not wanting my stuff destroyed? My brother was laughing through all of this. God, you're so dramatic, he said. I was tired, so I confronted my parents. You guys act like I'm the problem, but you don't even see what's going on. You just let him do whatever he wants. My dad crossed his arms, reprimanding me. Because he isn't constantly complaining. My brother leaned back on the couch, arms stretched behind his head, and smirked. Nobody wants you here, man. You'd think your own parents would have some sense and finally say something normal, but no. They nodded. They actually nodded. My mom didn't say a word, my dad didn't argue. They just stood there, silent, like they were thinking the exact same thing and had nothing else to add to what my brother had said. Fine, I said. I went upstairs, packed my things, and left. But this wasn't the end, not even close. Because the next morning, my phone was blowing up with 12 missed calls. And that's when I knew leaving was the best decision I'd ever made. I didn't answer, not at first. Just watched my phone, seeing the notifications pile up. It was kind of funny. They were from Mom and Dad. For a family that didn't want me around, they were pretty desperate to get in touch. I let it ring. I wasn't in any rush. After leaving the night before, I didn't even have a plan. Just threw some stuff in a duffel bag and walked out. Crashed at a friend's place, which was becoming a more permanent arrangement, which he also knew because he saw me with my bag. He just handed me a blanket and said, "You can stay as long as you need." Didn't even have to ask his parents. They were totally cool with it. But here were the calls from my parents. And I had a feeling, no, a certainty, that it wasn't because they missed me. When the calls finally stopped, the texts started coming in. The first few were exactly what I expected. Mom, you're being immature. It's time to come home. Dad, enough of this nonsense. You need to stop acting like a child. Yeah, super remorseful. But I didn't reply to any of them, so then came the text that explained the sudden shift from, "Don't want you near us," to, "Call us now." Mom, come back now. We have a problem. 10 minutes passed. 15, 20. I didn't respond. I was curious what had happened. I'd even be happy if something happened to them, but I didn't reply. Finally, Mom, your brother really messed up. You know that cartoon light bulb that goes off over someone's head? That was me. An idea sparked. I leaned back on the couch, staring at my phone. So now they needed me. Interesting. I wasn't in any hurry to respond. Instead, I let them sweat a little. If my brother had really screwed up, then whatever happened must be serious enough for my parents, who never, not once, took my side, to be reaching out to asterisk me. After about 10 minutes of silence, more texts started rolling in. Dad, we don't have time for your attitude. Just come back. Mom, please, this is serious. We're not playing games. I don't know how this could be serious, and I was starting to laugh. When my problems were serious, I was told to get over it. But now that my brother was in trouble, suddenly it was urgent. I took my time crafting my next reply. Always overreacting. You should get over it. A minute passed. Another. Then my dad called. I let it ring, then declined. A second later, a text. Dad, you're being selfish. Your brother needs you. I was enjoying this, I'm not gonna lie. Selfish. How rich, coming from him. Then Mom again. Your brother's been arrested. This isn't a joke. We need you to come back. Now. Or at least call us. Okay, now I was even more interested. Suddenly my morning had gotten a whole lot better. I told my friend what was going on. He raised an eyebrow. You sure about this? Thought you were done with them. I grinned. Oh, I am. But I need to see this for myself. 15 minutes later, I pulled up to my house. My dad was pacing on the porch, phone in hand, looking more stressed than I'd ever seen him. My mom sat on the steps, head in her hands. For once, there were no laughs, no snide remarks, just pure panic. And silence. Well, and some internal laughter from me. I took my time walking up to them, then said casually, "So, who wants to tell me what happened?" My dad spun around. "Where the hell have you been?" I looked at him like the answer was obvious. "Not here, like you wanted." He clenched his jaw, but before he could say anything, my mom spoke. "It's your brother," she said. He stole something from the wrong people." Now I was confused. The wrong people? Are there right people to steal from? My mother said, "Don't get smart, my son is in big trouble over this." My dad ran a hand over his face. "Some guys, at the arcade where he hangs out. We don't know the details, but they called the cops. He's in lockup now." I was laughing, because when they said he stole from the wrong people, I imagined it was from the mob. It wouldn't make sense because he was my brother, but it also doesn't make sense for these wrong people to be kids playing. Though now that I thought about it, the wrong part probably meant that he wasn't stealing from me. That would have been okay for them, but when it's from someone who can report them, it isn't. Luckily, my parents didn't get angrier because I was laughing, but they kept looking at me for an answer, which they got. "And what do you want me to do about it?" My mom looked at me desperately. "We need money for a lawyer, for bail. We need your help." Less than 24 hours, and how the tables had turned. They didn't want me there. I was a nuisance, now they needed me. But I didn't need them. Now they looked at me like I was their only hope. And in a way, I was. I shoved my hands in my pockets, playing the part. "So, let me get this straight. You tell me I'm not welcome, you let my brother treat me like crap, you don't care when I leave, but now that he's in trouble, you suddenly remember I exist?" The answer came from my father. "This isn't about that. We're talking about your brother. He's not equipped to do serious time. We need to get him out of there, ASAP." I was still laughing, though I tried to change my face to concern, when I told them, "Are you scared that another inmate is, well, you know, welcoming him prison style?" I thought my mother's eyes would pop out of her face and start rolling down the driveway. Then she said, "Please. We can talk about all that later. Right now, we need to get him out of there before this gets worse." I exhaled slowly, feigning thought. "And how much money are we talking about?" My dad checked his phone. "Bail is set at $25,000. We can cover some of it, but we need you to cover the rest." Now my eyes almost bugged out. $25,000, huh? Sounds serious. My mom looked a little more hopeful. "So you'll do it?" "Oh, absolutely not." Their faces fell so fast I almost felt bad. "Almost. Excuse me?" My dad's voice was tight with anger. I shrugged. Not my circus, not my monkey behind bars getting some affection from inmates. My mom's voice cracked. "Stop playing games. He's your brother." "No," I corrected her. "He's your son. And you made it pretty clear I was never really part of this family. I hope he still has that paper he stole from me yesterday. He may need it to draw an escape plan." My dad stepped forward, his eyes blazing. "You think you're proving a point? You think this is funny?" I looked him dead in the eye. "Yes. I also think it's fair." My mom reached out, trying to grab my arm. "We'll pay you back." I stepped back. "You think I trust you? The people who threw me out without a second thought?" My mother's mouth looked like a fish's, because it was moving, but no words came out. Her mind said, "I gotta say something," but she ended up walking away. My closing statement for them was, "This is what's going to happen. You're going to solve this without me, like you've always wanted. Now I'm leaving, like you told me to do, and I don't want you blowing up my phone with texts or calls." I turned and walked away. Behind me, my dad yelled, "Don't you dare walk away from us." But I told him, "Watch me." That night, I sat at my friend's place, scrolling through my phone, enjoying a greasy burger from my favorite takeout spot. It was quiet, peaceful, the kind of night I hadn't had in years living under that roof. My phone was on Do Not Disturb, so I hadn't gotten any notifications, but I couldn't resist checking to see if there were any. And surprise, surprise, my family hadn't given up. My mom had sent 3 texts in a row. "We can work something out. Please let's talk. Your brother is still in jail. We're struggling to get the money together, please. I know we were harsh before, but we're family." I almost choked on my soda. Now we're family. Now they cared? That was rich. I was debating whether to even respond when another text popped up. This time, from my dad. I realized that my pattern of thinking so much about whether or not to respond gives my parents time to write another one. "Look, we can pay you back. You just need to trust us. They were desperate, I'll give them that. Actually asking me to trust them when they shouldn't trust themselves. Just as I was about to put my phone down to watch a movie, another text came through. It was from my mom, but written by my brother. He must have asked her to pass it along. Come on, are you seriously gonna let me rot in here? Good question. If I was the judge, that's exactly what I'd do. But I'd be nice and get him a couple of roommates. Oh, this was getting good. These past hours have been so chaotic and fun thanks to my brother. I will be forever grateful. So I relayed the message to my mother so she can give it to him when she sees him. You told me nobody wanted me around. I'm just respecting your wishes. Sent. Read. No reply. I smiled to myself, stretched back, and took another bite of my burger. Life was good. The next morning, I woke up to a barrage of messages. Rubbing the sleep from my eyes, I unlocked my phone and started scrolling. Apparently, things were getting worse for the fam back home. We had to sell the TV. And your dad's golf clubs. Your mother is furious with me. I hope you're happy. Please, we don't know what to do anymore. A full hour passed before my mom finally swallowed her pride and sent another text. Please, we're really struggling. I let her stew in that despair for a few minutes before responding. I'll tell you what, I'll get him out. On one condition. She didn't hesitate. Anything. My reply. I want a public apology. In the family group chat. A long one. I want all of you to admit every horrible thing you've said to me. And I want you to thank me for helping. I knew that would bruise my dad's ego, but if they really wanted my help, they'd have to grovel for it. And as expected, it took them a while, but eventually, a new message popped up in the family group chat. We need to talk about how we've treated you. We've made mistakes, and we now realize how much we've hurt you. We deeply regret our words and actions. You are an important part of our family, and we're grateful for your generosity in helping us during this difficult time. It was stiff, forced, and completely humiliating for them. Perfect. I gave them a simple thumbs up emoji and went about my day. Did I actually bail my brother out? Haha, absolutely not. But I finally got the apology I always deserved. The following week, I got a call from my brother. From jail. He was snarling. I can't believe you did this. I thought you were better than this. I was laughing again. Hadn't done that in a week. It wasn't a malicious laugh, more the kind of laugh you have when the universe serves up exactly what's deserved. I asked him, better than what? I'm just giving you what you wanted. You told me you didn't want me around, remember? So now you get to stay exactly where you belong. I could hear the clang of cell doors in the background. It cut off with my brother's voice. You can't do this. Are you seriously going to leave me here? I let him wait a while for my answer, because I knew he had limited phone time, which would make him more anxious. Then I said, you know, I thought about getting you out, I really did. But they told me you were being treated well there, so I decided to leave you a bit longer. I apologize if it's my turn to enjoy my life now, knowing that I'm living my own way, while you are trapped. Enjoy your stay. When I hung up the phone I was dying of laughter. I don't know how he got my number, since I don't think he remembered it, but I can imagine two people who may have given it to him. Anyway, it doesn't bother me, because he's given me a few laughs. I don't know what's going to happen with my brother in the long run, if they'll scrape together enough cash to get him out. But they still have lawyer fees to think about, which is going to be an uphill battle for them. Somehow, I don't think the laughs are over yet. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. My parents scraped together enough to get a bondsman to front the rest of the bail to get my brother out. He's still facing trial for ripping off the wrong people, as my parents put it, but he's out while he awaits his court date. That'll be a few months down the line, but I wanted to give you guys an update before then. For those asking about my life, where I live, and what I will do next, I still have 4 months until I turn 18. I will live at my friend's house until that happens, and then I will have to find my own way. I don't have much planned, because I don't think I qualify for even a partial scholarship, so my chances of going to college are very low. But difficulties have never stopped me. I've lived 17 years with my parents, which proves it, so I'll find something. Now for the laughs. When he got sprung from his little vacation, a whole 3 weeks, he was ready to give me a piece of his mind. This update is dedicated to some of the texts and my replies. Figured if I got some laughs, you guys should too. First text from my brother. You're gonna pay for this. You left me rotting in jail. My response. If you rotted in a few days, you must have been pretty ripe going in. There are more texts in between, but most of them weren't that funny or I couldn't think of anything funny to say to him. Another text from him. You better watch out. I learned some things in there. Me. Cool, but I'm not interested in finding out what romantic things you learned from your bunkmates. And if that was a threat, maybe the prosecutor in your trial will be interested, since that way he can make his job easier to return you with your lovers, who I'm sure miss you right now. Didn't hear from him for 3 days. And finally. Look, I know you think you're being all clever, but deep down you know not having our parents' love has messed you up, and that's why you're acting out. My reply left him textless for a whole week. You like getting love from the wrong people. You do it with our parents, who have an unhealthy love for you, and you probably went to jail to prove that other types of love exist out there. You should plead guilty and accept all charges. It shows that you need all that love, because you've gotten out of jail and you're feeling a little irritable. My humble opinion is that you miss being locked up with people who gave you tough love. Those have been the best ones, in my opinion. I may do another update after my brother's trial. Update 2. No funny texts for you guys this time. Over time, I stopped responding to my brother. I know, they were fun, but he's proven to be more valuable than that. Here's why. At first, the texts were much the same as the ones I copied here, but when I stopped responding, he lost his patience and got aggressive. So I gathered all the messages and took them to the cops. Part of his bail conditions was no harassing anyone, seeing as that's what got him in trouble with the wrong people in the first place. So when I presented a nice, neat timeline of increasingly threatening texts to the police, guess where my brother went? You're right. But also, guess where my parents' money went? Ding ding ding. You forfeit bail if you violate your release conditions, and not just what my parents scraped together, but what they owe the bondsman, too. You can imagine how happy I was going to the police station, jumping and singing all the way because I knew what would happen. As a result of this, my brother waited more than a month in jail while his trial arrived. And my parents will now have to sell much more than some golf clubs. I'll talk about that later. First, the trial. My brother was found guilty of theft, extortion, threats, and really liking the company of burly men. Well, not that last charge, but we all know he's guilty anyway. With 2 more years in prison, he'll continue to rot and continue to seek the kind of wrong love that fills him so much. I was about to post, but went back to read it from the beginning and realized that I was forgetting to talk about my parents and their debt. The debt of the $25,000 of the bail, the interests and the lawyer. The first time they had to sell the golf clubs, now they sold both cars and various household items. They've done a yard sale. Among the things they were selling was my brother's console, which I thought I could get for a good price. Plus, I wanted to help out, since it was for a good cause. So I offered less than what they were asking for it. My parents were not happy to see me there, nor with my offer. They wanted me to at least offer above the asking price, to help pay my brother's bills. I told them I had $100 and was taking a risk here, because I knew what kind of dirty hands my brother had when he used it. So they agreed to sell. Then I went to eBay and sold it for $200, the easiest profit of my life. I feel like I'm on TV shows. Part of the $200 went back into my savings, but I also used my winnings to buy 2 of my favorite burgers. And it only took me an afternoon to buy it, clean it, upload some pictures and get a sale. Thanks, bro, from whatever prison you're in. It's a very nice gift you've given me. And I know it was born from your heart, which makes it more valuable. I'll treasure it for a lifetime.